Are we waiting for? Are we, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with our meeting. Can you please speak on the closed session?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. The City Council met in closed session, discussed two potential anticipated litigation matters. One of the matters, Councilmember Reboyle was not present. She was present for the other. So the City Council, the City staff made a presentation with respect to both items. City Council provided direction. No final reportable action was taken. Nothing further to report. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, we'll go ahead and start the 6 p.m. City Council meeting. And we have a concurrent special meeting and our regular meeting. We're going to be opening them both at the same time. Is that okay? We're opening them both at the same time. And can we please have a roll call?
Councilmember Argumedo?
Here.
Councilmember Garcia?
Here.
Councilmember Reboyle?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lainez?
Here.
And Mayor Altamirano?
Here. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance by our Park and Rec Director and also our invocation by Councilwoman Garcia.
Please stand, everyone. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we come together this evening, we ask for our wisdom to guide our decisions and unity to strengthen our purpose. We hold in our hearts the memory of Jose Castillo and find comfort in supporting one another through this loss. May we lead with compassion, serve with integrity, and work together for the good of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to appearances and presentations, we have item number 1, the Tree City USA 2024 award. Who's going to be reporting on that?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, community members. We are here tonight to acknowledge this year's Arbor Day winners. Staff, along with LA County Forestry, visit Rosewood and Bandini Elementary Schools to help instill the importance of the urban forest. The students are tasked with painting a picture of what Arbor Day means to them. And we are here tonight to present to them their artwork and plaques. And please have representatives for Bandini and Rosewood to come up and acknowledge the winners. Where's Rosewood at? Rosewood. Okay, in third place, we have Hazel Romero. Second place, Noemi Benitez. In first place, Alfredo Ferreira. Right. Okay. In third place, Sofia Martea. Second place, Daniel Garcia. First place, Iris Hernandez.
Great job. I heard it. That's what I'm telling you. You did just like everybody complimented everybody. It was good. Excellent. And your words way better.
We'll move on to item number 2, which is a certificate of recognition for the Commerce.
Mayor, one thing.
Oh.
So, good evening. My name is Alex Fialta. I am a forester with LA County Fire, and I just wanted to speak on you guys getting your Tree City USA award. I'm a forester with LA County Fire, currently assigned to our San Dimas unit. The Los Angeles County Fire Department's Forestry Division, through CAL FIRE, supports and delivers the Tree City USA program for cities within the county on behalf of the Arbor Day Foundation. The National Arbor Day Foundation recognizes cities for their commitment to trees through the Tree City USA program, which is sponsored in cooperation with the National Association of State Foresters and the United States Forest Service. For a community to receive the Tree City USA designation, they must meet 4 fundamental components: a tree board or department, a tree care ordinance, a community forestry program with an annual budget of at least $2 per capita, and an Arbor Day proclamation and observance. Since 1986, your city has shown its dedication to restoring, enhancing, and maintaining your community's urban forest by meeting or exceeding the Arbor Day Foundation's Tree City USA standards. As one of our department's regional urban foresters for LA County, it is with great pleasure to recognize the mayor, the City of Commerce officials, staff, and partners for all the hard work you've done to improve the quality of life for your citizens. I'm honored to be here this evening to celebrate your Tree City USA designation for the 39th year. Thank you and congratulations.
I'm going to present you with the flag. We only want to take pictures. Or...
Yes. Thank you for that. We'll go ahead and move on to item number 2, the certificate of recognition for the Commerce Evening Lions Club. The occasion is celebrating the 50th anniversary. Congratulations. City of Commerce Mayor and City Council certificate recognition presented to Lions Club of the City of Commerce. On the occasion of your 50th anniversary, May 15th, 2025, the City Council of the City of Commerce proudly recognizes and congratulates the Lions Club of the City of Commerce on reaching this milestone anniversary. Founded on May 15, 1975, the Lions Club has demonstrated unwavering dedication to service, leadership, and compassion throughout the past 5 decades. Your commitment to empowering volunteers to serve their communities, meet humanitarian needs, and promote peace and goodwill is a shining example of civic leadership. From local vision screenings to food drives to student support programs and disaster relief, your positive impact has touched countless lives in the city and beyond. The City Council expresses its deepest appreciation for your many contributions to the commerce community and commends the Lions Club for 50 years of outstanding service and leadership, presented this 27th day of May 2025 with great pride and gratitude, signed by the Mayor and the City Council. Thank you, guys. I'll let
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm a proud member of the Lions Club, myself and my wife, and obviously all of the friends that are here today from the Lions Club. I'm really honored to have had the opportunity to serve with many of them. I've actually volunteered with them on different cleanup projects that we've done here in the community, in addition to other events that we've had. And I'm really very happy to be recognizing them. Thank you for putting this item on the agenda and recognizing them on their 50th Jubilee. I was actually at the event as well, which was very well attended. Many other members of Lions Club were there, and the hierarchy of the Lions Club was there to present the organization and recognize the Commerce Evening Lions Club. So it was a really great event. Thank you to the leadership with the Lions Club for doing such an excellent job, and all of the members for their continuing dedication to serve the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything, or do you want some photos, Hugo, or what would?
Yes, please.
Happy birthday, Lions Club. All right, so the next under presentations, we're going to have a certificate of recognition for the Bell Gardens High School varsity volleyball team. And this was recommended by Councilwoman Reboyo, and I'm going to let her read a couple of the presentations, so I'll let her have it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
First of all, congratulations on breaking barriers. It was such an honor to be able to watch you ladies. Probably didn't know that I was there. I was in the stands for one of your CIF games. And I just, as an Lancer alumni myself, proud Lancer, I just want to say congratulations. Even though some of you are not residents of the City of Commerce, you are our cousins because we're neighboring cities. So thank you all for being here. I know that some of you live in Commerce, some of you live in Bell Gardens, but you're all part of the Lancer family. And I'm a proud Lancer, and there's many of us here that are proud Lancers. So thank you for representing us well, for breaking barriers. If I am not mistaken, is this the first CIF title? It is, correct? Yes. So that deserves a round of applause, please. I'm going to read the certificate that each of you will receive, and then I will go on to talk about the assistant coach, the coaches. In honor of your exceptional performance and athletic excellence during the 2024 season, CIF Division 8 champions, CIF State Division 5 finalists. Your remarkable journey to the CIF and state finals is a testament to your unwavering dedication, teamwork, and sportsmanship. Through your commitment and competitive spirit, you have inspired your peers and brought pride to the Bell Gardens community and Commerce community as well. The Commerce City Council proudly recognizes your achievements and congratulates you on an unforgettable and historic season. Thank you. And something that is really remarkable for us is that the head coach for the varsity team grew up here in the City of Commerce and worked for the City of Commerce and coached for the City of Commerce. And I don't see him in the audience, so he's probably working. But Caleb Ortiz is the head coach for the team, but he is Commerce grown, and he also coached for us. So I want to congratulate him. I would like to congratulate the assistant coaches that are here today. Again, I personally was able to watch on the court just the deliverance of how you mentor these girls, your patience, yet your passion for when you're coaching. So to the assistant coaches, I say congratulations. Their success is only able to happen through your mentorship and through your coaching. So congratulations and thank you for everything that you did to ensure success and to bring this title that has never been brought to Bell Gardens High School. So thank you to the assistant coaches as well. I'll read the coaches' certificates, and it says, in recognition of your outstanding leadership, dedication, and commitment to the Bell Gardens High School girls varsity volleyball team. Your guidance, mentorship, and tireless efforts have played a vital role in shaping not only exceptional athletes, but also strong, disciplined, and resilient individuals. Your passion for the game and your unwavering support helped elevate the team to new heights of success. Thank you for inspiring a championship mindset and making a lasting impact on your players and the Bell Gardens community. Another round of applause, please. So with that, we would like to ask for the team to come on up, and the mayor will be handing out your certificates.
Yeah, we can go down and take a photo with them and
Okay.
hand them their certificates. time, we'll go ahead and open up public comment. We have a speaker, Gloria Nezualcoyo.
Buenas tardes. Como va la agenda ahora, City Council continues on the path to beautify the city by adding works of art. So I am here to suggest that Lalo Alcaraz, the cartoonist from the Los Angeles Times since 2002, be added to the list of potential artists in residence or art contributors to the City of Commerce. Mr. Lalo Alcaraz is the creator of La Cucaracha. He's also a children's and graphic book novel writer, an art instructor, a muralist, and community activist. He recently published Poquita, a children's book, and a comic book, and once again, his yearly calendar. So, he deserves to be interviewed by you so we can get some of his art in the community also. Since you got the money now and he's got the expertise, let him come in. Now, on the other side, throughout this last month, City Council has commended most of the city employees for their work, dedication, and commitment to serve the community. On this Thursday, you will need to deliberate the city budget and by default, their salaries. While deliberating, please remember the salary deduction that was imposed on them during the pandemic. Now that the finances have improved, reward them by restoring the percentage that was taken away. They will appreciate it greatly, even more than all the pictures and scrolls that you can give them. It is time to bring their salaries up. Thank you.
Thank you. And Gloria, do you have the information to the artist you spoke about? You can give it to our staff. No, Gloria, if you have information on the cartoonist and stuff, you can give it to our staff. Thank you. Okay, we have one more public speaker, and it's, would you like to wait till we get to would you like to now? Okay, Lee Squire.
Lee Squire, Vietnam era veteran, mayor and city council. First, I want to thank you from the last council meeting for honoring Military Appreciation Month. With the wreath, it is a soldier, and with the 6 candles in the front, actually lighting them. I cannot thank you enough for my military family and my veterans. Memorial Day, May 26, 2025. Thank you for our freedom. This is a day to remember and honor all those who gave their lives since the Revolutionary War to preserve freedoms in America. During Vietnam War, 58,479 brothers and sisters never returned from the Vietnam War. On Memorial Day, we also honor what are called Gold Star parents and families. It is for those who have lost a loved one in combat. Also, no greater love than this, for one to lay down their life for their friends, John 15:13. God bless America, God bless military and its veterans, and God bless their families. Thank you.
Thank you. I only had 2 cards that, Kirk. There's no more public comments cards. We'll go ahead and close it, and we'll move on to I move the city council successor agency reports before the consent calendar. So, who's ready? Would you like to?
Sure.
The council reports. I'll do it now. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Yeah, that was a little surprise there. Yeah, moving it up on the agenda there.
It used to be like that, right? Back in the days.
Yeah. Well, not that I can recall, but anyways, it's good. Let me just summarize by some of the. I believe we just recently were away at Contract Cities, and I thought it was again a great conference, good opportunity for us to have the opportunity to network with other council members from other cities. A lot of good presentations, I thought, or sessions that we attended. It was a great conference. But I thought the next conference that we had an opportunity to attend, which was the ICSC in Las Vegas, was even better for, I think, for our city. There was a lot of good news that we received while we were up at ICSC. It was attended by our mayor, our vice mayor, and myself. I know that our other colleagues could not make it due to their busy schedules, but I know in spirit they were there with us, and we appreciated their support as well. But it was good to meet with representatives from the Citadel, to meet with some of the folks that are the new projects that are going to be coming online in the next year. And that is the Chick-fil-A and also the In-N-Out Burger that we're going to have there on the corner of Washington and Telegraph. But what was really good about it was that we were able to get an update, because obviously we've all seen it's coming, we've seen the signs, but we hadn't seen a signed contract yet, and that's what we were looking for. And they absolutely were presented. We were all very happy to take part in the signing. Not we as the council members, but we were there to witness the signing of the In-N-Out contract. So it was signed by Steve Craig, and that very contract was going to go to the vice president of In-N-Out for them to sign, reviewed by their legal counsel as they usually do, and then of course signed by then the vice president. So it's great to have it, to know that they are definitely committed to coming to the City of Commerce. And in addition, we did get to see the signed contract by Chick-fil-A. So both of them, and there was another really interesting project. And before I make reference to the potential client that will be coming, legal counsel, am I at liberty to disclose that or not disclose that?
I think we should, I'm not familiar with this.
City manager, if you don't mind, is it okay or not okay to disclose that?
So I think it's exciting news.
All right, so I will summarize by saying this. We had a third presentation that was very encouraging, very positive. It's moving, we think, in the right direction. And I think soon, the area that you saw on Telegraph that was full of trailers and whatnot, I think in the future, you're going to see something, a very exciting project that I think is going to really, in essence, complete part of that vision that I think has been we've been waiting for there on Telegraph. And I think it's going to re-energize that whole corridor there. So we were really excited. I thought it was exciting for all of us. And there was one additional project that we received an update on, and that was, if you haven't already heard, there's a new hotel that is going to be, over at the Citadel where the valet parking is, that first building. There's two buildings there. The first building is actually completely gutted out now. It's empty, and that's going to become a hotel, and it will contain on the first floor two very upscale restaurants, and there's going to be a fountain that's going to be put in the front where you're currently parking all of the vehicles, which is really exciting because I think the same people that build the fountains over at the Bellagio are the same people that built the fountain that's going to be installed there. And I think it's going to be a project that's going to really bring a great deal of attention. It's going to really put us on the map in terms of, I think, people wanting to come and visit. Already we have more people that visit Disneyland, in a year. And I think it's just going to make it that much more exciting in the future. So there was a lot of good news, and I was really glad to take part with my colleagues on the conference and just to receive that news and be a part of that. That was awesome. So I just wanted to report on that. And beyond that, I think I'll keep it at that. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Reboyo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Councilmember Argumedo mentioned, we were this contract cities in the desert, and I was very proud to represent our community. And as I got reinstalled for a second year on the executive board for Contract Cities, which is something that is, a tremendous honor for our community. It's something that's really huge. So will continue to serve on the executive board this year, and I'm hoping that more of my colleagues get more involved on the legislative committee and the legislative issues that we will see in this upcoming year. So thank you for that. I'll keep it brief. I want to remind the community to celebrate with us this Saturday at 4 o'clock. We will be celebrating our city birthday. Finally, it's here. I know there's been a lot of chitter chatter, and unfortunately, when it was scheduled, the drone company had to reschedule. So no, it was not because there was a big water polo tournament or because there was a big dance tournament. It was because the drone company had to reschedule because of the winds. So thankfully, it's here this Saturday at 4 o'clock. So I hope to see you all there. And at this time, I would like to extend my condolences to our transportation department on the recent loss of a good friend and a good father and a great employee, a wonderful driver, Mr. Jose Castillo, who went above and beyond to provide excellent service for our community. As I broke the news to my mom, she mentioned how there was a time where she was taking the dial-a-ride and she was ready to get picked up and there was no drivers available. Something had happened. Well, Mr. Jose Castillo got in a van and went to pick her up himself. And those are the recurring stories that I continue to hear from seniors, just the things that he did to go above and beyond his scope of duty to make sure that the service was provided with excellence. He will truly be missed. And I extend my condolences to the Transportation Department family, as I know this is a sudden loss that is really hard to grapple with. And to his family, to his 2 daughters, his son, and his wife, we extend our condolences on this loss. So let's continue to keep them in our prayers as they, work through what is this sudden loss. So that is all for now, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Garcia?
Thank you, Mayor. I really enjoyed attending the California Contract City Conference. The speakers were engaging, especially the session on ethics, which gave me a lot to think about. The workshops were hands-on and practical. I appreciated the networking with my colleagues. It was well organized and it was very inspiring. Definitely looking forward to it next year. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend this year's Memorial Day event, one of my favorite events to honor and remember. Thank you to all the brave men and women of the military, past and present, for your service and sacrifice. Your courage will never be forgotten. At our last council meeting, I didn't mention Anthony from printing. Thank you for putting out the poster for the soldiers. And thank you, Adrian, for buying the wreath of our memorial service presentation and the dozen yellow roses in honor of our Gold Star parents and families. Also, Mayor, thank you for accepting my proposal and supporting the adoption of the meaningful resolution to declare our city a Purple Heart City. A special thanks to you as well, Mr. Lee Squire, for taking my call and working closely with me to ensure that we follow the proper steps to move forward. Your guidance and support were invaluable in making this happen for the City of Commerce. Thank you, Mr. Squire. And thank you, Mayor.
That's it. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. On May 16th through the 18th, I also attended the California Contract Cities Association Municipal Seminar, and as most of my colleagues have stated already, it was a really informative session, or conference, I should say. Some really good sessions on disaster readiness, collaborative leadership, and public safety. Those were a few of the sessions and topics that I really was interested in and enjoyed. I also want to wish my colleague, Councilwoman Oralia Arroyo, congratulations on serving on the executive board for another year on the selection committee. So I know you're doing some great work over there at Contract City. So thank you for representing us and everything that you're doing out there. As my colleague has stated, I also attended the ICSC conference on the 19th and the 20th. So last week was pretty conference heavy, but as you had mentioned, right, there were really productive meetings that we had to to really advance some of the things that we've been working on behind the scenes, especially as it relates to that telegraph corridor. So really optimistic. I think, we're moving forward in the right fashion. I think at this point, one of the people told us this is more than an idea at this point, right? This is actually something that, really has some legs. So I'm really excited about it. And I know there were some meetings that we had to uncover some new opportunities. So I think it was really productive. So thank you both, Mayor and Councilman, for attending that. And I think it was really good for the city. And I think good things are coming. Last Thursday, I was able to join the folks at Public Works for lunch in honor of National Public Works Week. And listen, I know we had a couple of members from the Public Works team that were just here, but we have the director, Shahid, who's here. And, you have a great group of people that really take a lot of pride in the work that they do here in our city. That was really evident in just the conversations that I had with them that afternoon. So great job, wonderful lunch. And you guys are doing great work. So thank you. And yesterday I participated in the Park Lawn Memorial Day ceremony. I know some of us weren't feeling well or just couldn't attend, but, I think it was a wonderful ceremony held by the Park Lawn team. So I want to thank Monica, Javier, Elda, and the rest of the team there. Jose, who's the ground supervisor there and really keeps things looking beautiful. And I think it was really fitting, right, to remember and honor those who have laid down their lives in service to this country. So, obviously a very important and meaningful event yesterday. And lastly, I also want to extend my condolences to the family and friends of Jose Castillo. As you know, he was in the transportation department as a bus operator, also I think a supervisor at one point. But my experiences with him, he was always very positive, easygoing, great to get along with. And, in a couple of the rides that I took with him, he always talked about his family. So I know he was a proud father, husband, family man who really cared about the work that he did here, but also cared about the family structure that he had at home. So I know he's going to be missed by many. I certainly will miss him, and may he rest in peace. And Mayor, I'm sure you will do this, but I'm hoping that we can adjourn this meeting in his honor today.
Absolutely. And with that being said, let's just have a moment of silence for Jose Castillo, who's a great employee, and let's have a moment of silence. Okay. I myself also attended the Contract Cities and the Las Vegas with my colleagues. The Las Vegas one was, like Councilman said, and our Mayor Pro Tem, I think that we had some pretty significant meetings there, and we always walk out of there with some great ideas. So I love to see the excitement that goes on there with the city council and staff. So thank you to our city manager for attending with us and having set up the meetings that we like one of them was pickleball. I mean, we've met with a lot of people, and we have an opportunity if we really work hard that we can bring pickleball in our city. And I think that, I've never played it. I hear it's great. Have you guys played? I've seen it. I haven't played. You play this again? Okay. I just think it was pretty cool because they were talking about some of them have these restaurants within the building, and also some of them have breweries within that organization. So I think that it'll be fun for our community. Right after Vegas, I flew to Hawaii with my son. He's in the Marine Corps, and he's going to get stationed out in Hawaii. So I got to go with him and look for some houses. He's deciding whether he wants to buy a house out there or if he's going to live on base. So it was a great time spending with him. It was 11 days, 4 hotels. It was a little nutty, but I'm glad I'm back here in the city. So, with that being said, then we're going to move on to, to consent calendar. So on the consent calendar, we have items number 3 through 6. Is there a motion for approval?
Mayor, if there are no questions, I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
I would second that.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. We'll go ahead and move on to scheduled matters. It's a resolution designating the City of Commerce as a Purple Heart City and presenting commendation honoring Purple Heart recipients. Sorry. Yes. This one here is well, first off, I really want to thank Lee Squire for showing up and really helping the city create this. And I really want to thank you, Councilwoman Garcia, for bringing this. I never knew that this existed. I knew about Purple Hearts, but I never knew that there was something like this. And for me, it really it hits home. I mean, my grandfather, like I said, I think I said the last time that my grandfather was in the Marine Corps, and he fought in World War II. He was 17 years old when he went to Guadalcanal. And the stories that he told us there, told my brothers and myself, he called it the starvation island. And he would tell us how they were starving and they were dying. And he had his best friend from high school that went with him, and he died in battle the first days. So, but also my grandfather did get hurt in World War II in Guadalcanal. However, he was stuck on the island, so he had no choice but to fight until months later they came back for him. So he did get a Purple Heart there. And then he fought in Korea. And from Korea, he then went on to fight in Vietnam. And then he got a second Purple Heart in Vietnam. And just the remarkable stories that we were able to hear. I mean, I wish and I want to put all those stories on a book because they're just remarkable. And the history is just, I don't want to say it's being lost, but it's being carried by us, right? And it's something that I'll never forget. I'll never forget the remarkable stories. I mean, some of them are great, some of them are not so great, but it was an honor to really grow up with my grandfather. My grandfather, once he got out of Vietnam, he decided to buy a house with my parents, and I was so lucky to have him next door. And he had me like a little Marine running around, always dressed me in camels, and buy my friends from Target all the little machine guns and water guns, and we'd be running around everywhere. Back in those days, where the senior centers, there was a lot of like bushes and stuff, so we'd be able to hide in there and stuff. Now they're no longer there, but my grandfather was just an amazing man, and to bring this is truly an honor for me. So thank you so much to both of you. I'll go ahead and read this. City of Commerce proclamation honoring Purple Heart recipients and declaring the City of Commerce a Purple Heart City. Whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration still presented to the United States military service members, established by General George Washington in 1782 and awarded to those who have been wounded or killed in combat while serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. And whereas the people of the City of Commerce hold deep respect, admiration, and gratitude for the men and women who have selflessly served and sacrificed in the armed forces of the United States, particularly those who have been wounded or paid the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our freedoms. And whereas the City of Commerce seeks to honor these courageous individuals and raise awareness of these sacrifices made by our military personnel and their families. And whereas the military order of the Purple Heart has established the Purple Heart Trail to recognize and honor cities and communities across the nation that supports Purple Heart recipients and acknowledge their contributions. And whereas the City of Commerce wishes to join this national effort and become part of the Purple Heart Trail by proclaiming itself a Purple Heart City. Now, therefore, to be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Commerce hereby honors all Purple Heart recipients and does officially declare the City of Commerce a Purple Heart City. Be it further proclaimed that the City of Commerce encourages its residents, businesses, and institutions to recognize and thank the brave men and women who have been awarded the Purple Heart and to honor the spirit of patriotism and sacrifice they represent. Presented this 27th day of May 2025 by the City Council and the City of Commerce, California, signed by the Mayor and the City Council. And I did get your request, and I know that you read the John 15:13. However, that verse is often used to honor the act of deep sacrifice, right? Service and brotherhood for the military. So I'll just read it again. And so John 15:13, no greater love than this, for one to lay down their life for their friends. So thank you for bringing that as well. Appreciate you guys. So we have, okay, and go ahead.
Mayor and City Council, in honor of moving forward as a Purple Heart Medal City, on behalf of the Vietnam veterans of the City of Commerce, I'd like to present to the Office of Mayor the POW MIA flag.
All right. Well, we'll go down and take a picture. We'll go down and take a picture and hand you this certificate. We'll move on to item number 8, which is the presentation and update for the Sheriff's Department.
We did not.
Oh, we have to vote on this? Okay. Is there a motion?
I move.
There's a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I already said all in favor. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you. So we're back to item number 8 for our sergeant.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Excuse me, Sergeant Sergio Jimenez with your public safety brief for the dates of May 13th to the 26th. Okay, for those indicates, we're going to have 2 assaults, 2 robberies, Burglaries, we're going to have 5. Grand theft, we're going to have 16. Grand theft vehicle, we're going to have 12. Arson, we're going to have 1 to report. And petty theft, we're going to have 10. This graph that you see up on the screen is going to be comparisons to the prior months of this year. And keep in mind, it's only going to be from May 13th to the 26th. Next screen. I'm sorry, next page. Now, this slide is going to be comparison to other cities. Again, keep in mind, East LA is going to be the most comparable as far as size. And we also have Cudahy, Maywood, which are smaller. Commerce, we're going to have 2 assaults compared to Cudahy's 3, Maywood's 5, and East LA 16. Robbery for Commerce, we're going to have 2, Cudahy 2, Maywood 2, East LA 3. Burglary in Commerce, we had 5 for the indicated times. Cudahy had 0, Maywood had 1, East LA had 5. Other theft, we had 16, Cudahy 2, Maywood 1, and East LA 19. Auto theft, we had 12, Cudahy 6, Maywood 2, and East LA had 23. Next slide. This is going to be your arrest tally in the indicated time. Felonies, you're going to have 13. Misdemeanor, you're going to have 18. Next slide. This is going to be your commerce activity, which includes your special assignment office deputies. We're going to have 2 notable arrests. The first one is going to be May 19, 2025. City of Commerce Special Assignment Office SAO Deputy Park observed a vehicle driving recklessly in the area near the Citadel outlets. Deputy Park conducted a traffic stop of the driver and confirmed the driver was in possession of a stolen vehicle. Additionally, Deputy Park confirmed the driver was also in possession of hundreds of dollars worth of stolen property taken from the retail stores at the Citadel. The vehicle was stolen. The vehicle, along with the stolen property, is returned to their owners. The driver was identified as a juvenile and charged with being in possession of a stolen vehicle and grand theft. May 21st, SAO deputies, conducted a joint training exercise with the Sheriff's Department Special Enforcement Bureau, SWAT team. During the training, loud booms were heard by residents and businesses. I know these noises caused some concern, but I would like for the community to know these training exercises are in preparation for any critical event that might occur in the city. These exercises are also in preparation for the Olympics and major sporting events that will be held in the city of Los Angeles. We're expecting an influx of people visiting our city during these sporting events. I want to remind our residents and businesses, good security can be inconvenient at times. Your patience is greatly appreciated. Thank you for your understanding. Next notable arrest was May 25th, 2025. SAO deputies Park and Lozano were alerted by City of Commerce Community Service Officer Alvarez of a possible stolen vehicle. As both deputies responded, they located the vehicle. The driver, passenger were detained. During the investigation, they confirmed the driver and passenger were in possession of a stolen vehicle. Deputies also confirmed both suspects were in possession of hundreds of dollars worth of stolen property taken from the Citadel outlets. Both individuals were arrested for being in possession of a stolen vehicle and for grand theft. Next slide. May 21st, 2025, SAO deputies assisted City of Commerce homeless team Ed Salcedo and Ralph Rivera, along with Ocean Blue team cleanup. Several sites cleaned and resources extended by any individuals encountered in these areas. This is going to be 7210 Dominion Circle, next to the City Hall water tank. Next slide. It's going to be UP Railroad behind 7250 Oxford Way. Next slide. This is 6912 Telegraph Road. Next slide. And lastly, this is 4445 Telegraph Road. Next slide. And this concludes my briefing. Any questions?
Any questions from City Council? That's good.
Just really quick, Sarge, we'll be reaching out soon. The Bristol Park community, a representative reached out just to ask for an update after the last meeting. It was 3-4 months ago? So we'll reach out so that we can coordinate any new updates that
Definitely.
you're asking for some updates.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Sarge.
Thank you, Council.
Appreciate your presentations. Next item is item number 9, Aquatics Facility Fence Project.
Good evening, Council. Greg Alanis, Director of Parks and Recreation. I'm excited this evening to present to you a fence project for our Brenda Villa Aquatic Center. As you are all aware, we recently installed sliding glass windows, which helps circulates the air there. And let me tell you, it's really helped out. So thank you for that. But what we need to do, the next steps is actually put a protective barrier, a fencing project to eliminate individuals walking through those sliding glass areas. So I've been tasked to present to you a quick proposal, and I'd like to kind of go over this PowerPoint presentation. So recommendation, the City Council will consider approving installation of 4 decorative gates at the Brenda Villa Aquatic Center, $138,000 by artist James Nash. So on Tuesday, April 15th, I met with the Art and Public Places Subcommittee and was asked to bring this to you for your consideration. Next slide, please. So background, with the installation of the sliding windows at the Brenda Villa Aquatic Center, as I mentioned to you, we need to install fencing to regulate access to the facility. Rather than installing a tubular fence or chain link fence, I've opted to recommend and bring to your consideration installing some decorative fencing representing the city and the facility. Next, please. So why? This is an opportunity to enhance the community appeal, foster cultural expression, and promote civic pride. As you're all aware, Art in Public Places is a talking point right now, and I thought this would be a good opportunity to present Art in Public Places through this fencing project. The proposed gates will serve both functional and artistic purposes. They will prevent unauthorized access to the pool and facility via sliding glass windows and enhance the visual aesthetics of the facility. So, about the artist. The artist is James Nash. He's done tons of work over the course of his career. James is here to answer any questions that you may have. There he is. He's a local artist, actually, out of Los Angeles here, and has done some great work in his career. So he is very site-specific and thoughtful in integrating with existing landscape and architect. He has worked both decorative and playful, and often layered it with deeper narratives that sparks dialogue throughout the community. Most importantly, his public art fosters a strong sense of community identity. And in this case, it would foster the facility itself and represent water polo and our swim team, as we see in a few minutes. He has quite a few projects that he has done, and I'll just leave those up there for you to read. If you can go to the next slide. These are all the projects that he has done over the course of his career, so he's well established and understands the task at hand. Next slide, please. And more commissions that he has worked on. Next slide. So what we're proposing, what Mr. Nash is proposing, is fencing, obviously, in the 4 areas. So I want you to visualize what you've recently seen right now. You can see through his other pictures. You can see through them. So everything in white here, you're going to be able to see through. Okay, so I want you to visualize that. And as you can see, the fence number 1 is swimming. To the left is what it would look like, and to the right, superimpose what it will look like when it is installed and if you approve. So that would be the fence, the swimming part of it. Fence number 2 is water polo, representing, of course, the aquatics center and our teams there. Fence number 3 is a combination of water polo and swimming. Of course, we have 4 fences, correct? So what we're proposing to do is there would be 2 swimming, one on each side, on the west side, and on the east side it would be swimming, and then potentially 1 water polo on the west side and 1 water polo on the east side. Up for this discussion or direction is to potentially do a combination of 1 fence of swimming and water polo at the same time, but I would leave that up to you as council members to give us direction. So that is that particular slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. again, visualize being able to see through the fence itself and being able to see the pool deck from standing outside as well. Next slide. And next slide. So there would be 4 decorative gates, of which we've been asked to ask for $68,000 out of general fund and $68,000 out of public places for a total of $138,000. That's all in costs, including installation, fabricating, everything, and that also includes a 15% of contingency. So it may not necessarily be that much, but that would be the total cost that we are requesting at this time. At this time, that concludes my presentation. I entertain any questions that you may have.
Is there any questions? Councilmember Newboy?
Just a quick question. I think it explains it here, but my brain, I can't understand it. These gates, one of them is going to be able to open, correct?
All of them will be able to
All of
open.
them.
However,
Okay.
one will actually be designated to open 2 or 3-fold
Okay.
to allow for equipment to go in and out. Obviously, we know that the facility is utilized by movie companies, etc. And what we've had to do in the past is actually disassemble doorways, and that's become very problematic. Allowing for them to utilize one of the gate entrances would be a lot easier for these moving pieces to get in and out, and also for us to change lights, etc.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just recently last week, they had a beautiful barbecue for all the kids, and it was really awesome because they had the gates open and the sliding door open, and they were able to go right out of practice to get their burgers, and then I thought about that. I was like, oh man, we're gonna put fencing there. Are we gonna be, because it was just really accessible. But on the flip side, right, you don't want the wrong people, right, being able to access the pool or gawk at the kids as they're swimming. So that was my biggest concern, was it going to be able to open up? That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I have just a quick question. There's some green bushes currently. Will that be removed, or are those remaining there?
Those the ones that don't have the sliding glass will remain.
Okay.
However, the 3 other gated areas, we will be putting back new shrubbery. So it'll be maintained and it'll be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. You won't just see the dirt itself, there'll be bushes there and plants. The only one that won't have it is the access point for us to get in and out with equipment.
Okay. All right. That was the only question I had related to that. Thank you.
Councilman?
Hey, Greg, thanks for doing the hard work and the presentation. I love what I see. Thank you for that.
Greg, thank you for the presentation. You explained this, so where we see 3 concepts, there's 4 gates, and I think one of the scenarios you proposed is 1 water polo, 1 swim on the west side, and then the same on the east side. And so I don't know if this is a question for you or the artist, but are we thinking that the west side and the east side would be the same if we were to go with that scenario, or?
Yeah, so for instance, on the west side, there'll be 1 swim.
Mm-hmm.
The east side, there'll also be a swim.
Right.
On the west side, there's going to be water polo. I'm sorry?
No, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one west side will be water polo, and then they're going to mirror each other.
They will mirror each other, right? So now, I guess, again, I think a question for the artist is, are these close to the these are just concepts, but are these close to what you think the final product will be? And if so, do you need direction on which water polo concept to go with?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Yeah, these are preliminary sketches, and so there is some flexibility at this stage.
Okay.
And, the last option, the third option is a combination where there's water polo and swimming in both.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So we could do 4 like that, or we do 2 and 2, on the west side and the east side.
Yeah, no, I see it now. I think I was thrown off by the label on the presentation that just said water polo, but you're right. It's a half and half. So I think, City Manager, I think, if this were to go through as presented, I think you have the authority to kind of approve all elements, right? At least that's what it states in the report. So how would you manage what the final product would
What
look
that
like?
really means is more of the forthcoming agreements and those kinds of things. With regards to the actual, your preference, it's 100% the discretion of the city council. If you want to do, a combination of any of these, it's really in your discretion. The budget allows for the whatever variance city council wants to choose, but it's really what you want to see when you walk in from, the front side versus the back side. Do you want it to mirror? Do you want to take a little bit of design of all of these, right? So for example, it could be completely different on the front and maybe the married sketch on the backside, but it's your discretion. Is there a preference, I guess, for your discretion?
I think I'm pretty open. I like I prefer like having a single gate addressing either water polo or swim, right? And whether we are congruent on the west side and east side, I think I'm open to what my colleagues think. So, but it makes sense. It makes sense. So those are my questions. But thank you, and thank you for presenting your work.
Okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir. So I think the vice mayor is looking for any other comments. I think he's open to, I think your preference is one water polo, one swimming, and I guess the question for the city council is, do you want it the exact same thing on the other side? Or do you want to use the third design combining?
I myself would like to change it up, right, and combine it. If the more of these fences we have, the more artwork we have. So instead of two being the same, you actually stand in front of something different.
You mean like all 4 different?
Well, there's going to be four fences, correct?
That is correct.
2 on each side.
The original concept was to just kind of mirror each other.
I like it.
But again, that'll be up to council if you give us direction.
I think I'm sorry, Ms. Mary Lou.
Go ahead.
I think I like fence 1 and 2 because it kind of shows just like, let's say fence 2, it shows like a whole game going on, and then fence 1 shows like the lap swimming. All 3 of them are really nice. The concepts are really nice, but personally, I like what we talked about, and them mirroring each other, and I like the concept of fence 1 and fence 2. But if we went with fence 3, that's good. It looks good, and I'm just really excited that it's coming.
I think it's great, and I think it's representative of the sports that we have there, but we are leaving out the community in terms of we open it up for swimming too. And, you don't generally see people just hanging out at the pool or whatever. I'd like to maybe include something along those lines. It's representative of our community, I'd say. Obviously, these 2 sports are the most popular sports in our community, but there's also the element of the community. Before, everybody, you'd hear the stories of people coming to Commerce to swim, and just enjoying having a good time at the pool. But that part, I see the sports, but I don't see that other element, being represented. So I like the idea of maybe we can incorporate, if we do different ones, incorporate one where it's whether you're relaxing and sitting around or just splashing, that sort of thing.
Yeah. The only reason why I say if we have different ones is because it's a blank canvas, right? And you have an opportunity to tell a story on each fence. Instead of telling the story twice, you get to really interpret what our council member Argumento just said. You can have what we used to have, like Thursday resident nights back in those days, which was families all getting together in a pool. The high dive, we used to have a high dive that was really cool back then. And if we're able to tell the story of the past and tell it on a fence, along with the swimming, along with the water polo, I just think that each panel, each fence is a opportunity to tell a story.
If I may make a recommendation, you can do one of 2 things, right? We can come back with some additional renderings for consideration for 2 new ones, basically. You can pick 2 tonight, or just wait till we come back with a bunch of new ideas and pick 4 at that time. It's really your discretion.
So we choose 2 here, and what you're saying is that we'll have a couple more renderings to choose, maybe 2 more.
Right, to really incorporate some of the other activities that come out of that facility, right? Because it's not just, I mean, we have dance, we have a variety of.
We have the
things.
seniors,
Yeah.
doing the exercise aerobic stuff there. We have, like I
Swim
said,
lessons.
the high dive. So, I mean, we would provide pictures to the artist, right? I mean, I'm sure
I
we
mean,
have.
we can meet with the artists with regards to the other programming, as several of the council suggested.
Okay.
And I guess for you, do you want to make a decision on two things tonight, or you want to wait till you see the full spectrum of possibilities and then decide? I don't know how much time you would need, you think, to come up with two additional concepts?
Not that long. Simple sketches.
Simple like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there two that you guys absolutely love that you guys want to choose right now?
Well, I think Fence 1 and Fence 2, like those two concepts, definitely, are depictive of the sports that happen at the pool.
Okay.
And Councilmember Argumedo, his suggestion is actually, I didn't even consider that, which is really good. And maybe another one can be just like you said, rec swim, kids in the pool or people in the pool. And then another concept could be swimming lessons, right? I don't know how we would depict that in that, but like those are the things that happen at the pool, right? Rec swimming, water aerobics, swimming lessons. But I think that's actually a good idea for different renderings of what happens. I like Fence 1 and Fence 2. So if you're looking for suggestions, I would say let's go with Fence 1, Fence 2, and then come back with another two concepts.
What other programs come, obviously there's the gym, right? But what other programs come out of that facility?
The kids,
There's a
kids
lot
pool.
of
The kids
dance
pool.
sports, etc. But somebody had one of the councilmen.
Those
The spray
flash
pool.
diving board?
Spray pool outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
A depiction of that, little kids, people sitting
So
around.
I'll reach out to you, is something specifically in your mind, so that we can kind of get that to the artist, and we come back with two additional renderings. And I guess the question for you tonight is, do you want to wait till we have the four concepts for making a decision? Or do you want to pick two now for either side?
I mean,
Whatever you decide.
I'm okay choosing two if you guys are okay, or waiting. Either way, I mean, you like these two, right? That's okay. What would you guys like to do? Is there two that you guys absolutely love on this side?
I think 1 and 2 are representative of the two sports.
Yeah.
But I did hear something that these are rough. I can do something a little bit more and you can bring it back, I thought. Maybe if you can do something along those lines, that maybe we'll have a little bit more of an option. But these two are nice. They do represent the two sports that we primarily have at the pool.
Okay, so it looks like we're leaning towards Fence 1 and 2. So if you want to create a couple more, I don't know if you want
Are all
to
four
create
the
two
same
more or
dimension?
4.
Yes.
So because all four are the same dimension, we could start working on an agreement to get these prepared, right? And we can decide later where you want them on the facility, while we work on additional designs. Unless there's one 100% set, because the one that's going to be trifold is the very first one by the door, right? That's, yeah. Let's work on an agreement, come back with some additional art, but I think we can already solidify that two of these sketches are going to work on, so to save some time.
Yeah.
Okay? So we'll just continue the item then, we'll bring it back.
Okay. All right. Thank you for showing up. You have some beautiful art. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you, Greg, for bringing this to our city. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 10, authorization to release and request for proposals, RFPs, for a rail feasibility study.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and members of City Council, staff is seeking authorization to release an RFP for a feasibility study for a rail transit option for the City of Commerce. The city is continuously looking to improve its infrastructure and programs and services, and this is an extension of that. In 2023, the city, through a mid-year budget request, allocated some monies for a study session, for a RFQ at that time, RFP. And the city did not move forward. Since then, we reached out to the same company that had interest in the past, and their number has grown substantially. So in the interest of seeking this process as a valid process, and trying to see what the impact is financially. The recommendation is to go out to RFP again and get the interest of other companies that do this kind of business to provide a comprehensive analysis and to look into creative transit opportunities for the City of Commerce.
Okay. All right. And this here has been an idea of Councilmember Arguino for a couple of decades, maybe, but it's just really, it was maybe like 4 years ago, it really was getting pushed, maybe 5 years ago, I can't remember for sure. But, I mean, it's something that I think would be great for the city, but would you like to speak into this a bit?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity, and thank you for helping to agendize the item. I think it's something that's been, I've always advocated on behalf of doing something along these lines. I think it'll be of great benefit to the city, but, I really think that eventually, a project of this size is something that's a huge investment for a city of our size. People will look at this and say, wow, somebody did this. I mean, I now look at Camp Commerce and think, wow, who was that? Who were the folks? What were they thinking at the time to actually purchase property up in Lake Arrowhead and provide all these wonderful memories, experiences they provided to so many here in our community? It's second to none. I mean, there's very few cities out there that actually have something like this. You go there. Former Councilwoman Councilwoman Oralia Rebollo, and at the time I believe you were mayor, but you actually hosted something during a conference that we had up in Lake Arrowhead, and you asked if we could, showcase it because there was a conference up there. And we were like, yeah, why not? Absolutely. And I think that was the result. That was the response that a lot of people had was, wow, this is an unbelievable facility. People didn't realize that we had that. But this is along those same lines. I think we need to be looking at doing this kind of thing. The biggest problem in California is transportation. Nowhere, wherever you go, you run into problems. You can't get anywhere. I mean, if it's in the morning, if it's in the evening, you're stuck in traffic. And for me, it's about us looking at realistic solutions to solve that problem. And part of what I've always seen is just go to Disneyland and you see this monorail going through there. You go to Las Vegas and they've already connected the hotels. And they don't block existing right-of-ways. They basically have put it in a way that it doesn't inhibit existing right-of-ways. And that's part of what I think we need to do. It should be above ground. It shouldn't be at grade level. Some of what we've done with Metro and everything else, it really, just look at the example going down 3rd Street. It's been very intrusive. There's been a lot of businesses that have left, and it's had a negative impact over there. I think many of the members of the business community over there were very upset over that. And I just really think it's something that we should invest in now. And I think the returns on some of this will be tremendous down the road, not something that you'll be getting an immediate return on. But I think we do it and everybody else will be looking at this going, wow, what were these folks thinking? But I think it's just something that we should be doing. We're able to do it. We appropriated $77,000 as the report indicates on here. That's all we did. We appropriated the money. We just didn't follow up on it. And part of the reason for not following up and pushing it has been because we've had economic downturns. We've had COVID, all these other problems. It's hard for me or others to be able to sell a project like this when we were, cutting back. We were furloughing employees. We were going through a lot of different situations. So it's been difficult. It's been something that I have advocated for many years. It's just that the timing has always been the wrong time because of different circumstances, right? But I really think that it's something that we should be doing. I believe that the return on investment is huge on a project like this. And at minimum, what we should do is go to RFQ, bring somebody that can actually sit down and look and examine and put a report for us that will tell us, hey, these are the potential routes. Here's the cost associated per mile for building something along this line. You can build it in phases. Here's the potential cost of that. And here's ways to fund it. they can give us all these kinds of answers. Somebody that's been involved in this, doing this for years. And this is really all it is for us to be able to do an RFQ to go out and see if we can find somebody that can do this kind of feasibility study for us so that we can get an answer to that. So thank you. I appreciate your help, and I hope I can count on your support to move forward with something like this. I think it'll be very futuristic for our city and put us on the map like nobody's, like no other city, really. So thank you.
Is there any other questions or comments on this? If not, I'd make the motion to request proposals and RFP with the consultant.
I would second that. Thank you, Mayor.
There's a motion, there's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Congratulations, Councilmember Aguimero.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Okay, now we'll move on to item number 11, consideration of converting ad hoc committees, food and brewery, and arts and public places into standing committees. Is there anybody who's going to present on this, or?
Thank you, Mayor and members of City Council. On May 13, 2025, the City Council added the brewery, food and brewery ad hoc committees to join the existing Art and Public Places Committee. The ad hoc committees were created to explore the feasibility, scope, and development for establishing a food and brewery district within the City of Commerce. The ad hoc committees meet as necessary and are limited in scope in that they are temporary in nature and do not conduct meetings open to the public, are not subject to the Brown Act. To expand the city's capacity to support ongoing projects in the food and brewery and public art and public places district, it is recommended City Council consider converting these to from ad hoc committees to standing committees, where there's 3 members of City Council and requires posting a regular agenda along with the requirement to provide minutes and open the meetings to the public. The legal requirements and considerations for such committees, standing committees, is that they're open to the public, they post agendas at least 72 hours in advance, the discussions are limited to the items listed on the agenda, you allow for public comment, you ensure there's a quorum, and it maintains accurate minutes and making an agenda. So that is item before you for consideration.
Okay, is there any questions on this, or should I, or do you guys want me to speak into why I'm moving in the direction to try to create this? So what I want to do is create this to give everybody an opportunity to really work on all these projects. I think that with the brewery and culinary district and the arts district, it has the ability to transform our community, and I think that it needs more eyes on it. I think it needs more hands on it, and it gives an opportunity for everybody to kind of work on this. So my thoughts is that like the Vail, the food and brewery ad hoc that we've created that's going to handle the Vail area, which I sit on it, and Mayor Pro Tem Lainez also sits on it. I wanted to give an opportunity to Councilwoman Rebollo to sit on this standing committee to focus and concentrate on this. And it also gives me the ability, like if I can't make a meeting and they're going to be meeting with developers or people with ideas or staff, it can give an opportunity for these 2 council members to go ahead and sit down and do that. And then we can have a discussion as 3 in public. So if you guys are okay with that, then I have kind of like my recommendations on who to sit on these committees. But unless you guys have any questions or comments, I'm open to that.
Thank you, Mayor, for kind of explaining the rationale on why you want to do this. And I think the way we're working right now is, the ad hoc subcommittee will come up with some recommendations and they present it to the city council as a body, right? And you get a majority, you count to 3, or if you can't get to 3 votes, then it doesn't pass, right? And when I read through the staff report, does this mean that if we were to convert to standing committees, it will now take 2 to act on something that's agreed upon, or how does it all work? I guess.
No, I don't think ultimately, the way it's going to be set up right now, and we, as we learn, because I don't think we've ever had a standing committee here. I think this is probably the first time, is that whatever decisions are made amongst three people then goes ultimately to the whole body. But it gives.
Do you mind, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead,
Sure.
please.
So a standing committee is an advisory body. So it would be, recommendations would come to the, from the standing committee to the city council. And if any decisions were going to be final at the standing committee stage, that would have to be a different delegation of power and authority from the city council to that body. But that's not what's, at least not yet, been presented to the city council. So the standing committee, again, would just be an advisory committee made up of 3 members of the city council.
So it's still an advisory committee, right?
Correct.
What you're saying is this opens it up to the public.
It opens it up to one other council member.
Right.
And when we have a sit down with 3 of us to not violate the Brown Act, it then opens it up to the public comment.
Correct. So if I could jump in right there, the standing committee is regulated by the Brown Act. So it acts, it's the same requirements of the city council meeting. You have to publish an agenda 72 hours in advance, public comment, members of the public are invited. It runs exactly like a city council meeting.
Okay. I think and thank you for explaining that, because when I read through the report, I think my initial concern is that it was actually going to diminish the voice of the city council, because now you have a body of 3, right? And you need 2 for a majority there. And so, you're saying that's not what's happening here.
Well, it's an advisory body. So you could potentially have 3 members of that body recommend to the city council that certain action be taken. But the decision's not final at the standing committee level. It's an advisory role.
So for implementation would still have to go before the entire city council.
Correct.
And again, let's clarify, standing meeting, in other words, if they call for a meeting, then it has to be published, and they have to have a meeting, so they open it up to the public. Now, all 3 members could be here for those meetings, because that's where they would make a decision. Is that correct?
They would make an advisory decision.
Advisory
not
decision.
A binding decision, right?
Right. So it would be an advisory decision that they can then come to the full body of the city council with for a final vote.
Correct.
But okay, I just wanted to understand that.
Right, and so the standing committee has to have defined subject matter jurisdiction, and here there is proposed for these standing committees that there is a subject matter jurisdiction. And again, it has to be an agenda published 72 hours in advance. Members of the public are open to the public, and there's public comment. It runs, again, just like a city council meeting, but the decisions there are not binding on the city council. The city council is the final decision maker, but the city council could, if it wanted to in the future, delegate authority to the committees to give them final decision-making authority. But that's not what's being proposed tonight.
Thank you for clarifying it, and thank you for asking the question. I was still wondering how we get around the Brown Act, but we don't. We're not getting around the Brown Act.
No, you're not getting around the Brown Act. You're subject to the Brown Act.
Okay, yeah, thank you, appreciate that. If there's no additional comments or questions, I would move to approve the mayor's recommendation on these standing committees.
There's a motion second. All in favor?
Are we clear on the additional bodies?
Yes.
Okay.
For
the record?
I thought he was talking about one initially there, right?
Well,
you were talking one, or you want to do the whole?
Here's all 3 of them.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
the Food and Brewery Ad Hoc Committee, now all these becoming standing committees. Right now, I sit on the Rosewood side, and Councilmember Garcia sits on the Rosewood side, and I would like Councilmember Argumedo to sit on the Rosewood side. On the Food and Brewery Ad Hoc Committee, turns into a standing committee. I sit on it, and Mayor Pro Tem Lainez sits on it. I would like to add Councilmember Rebollo. And then in the Arts District, I sit on it, and Councilmember Garcia sits on it, and I would like to add Councilmember Argumedo on that. So those are the three that I'm changing into standing committees. So if you still stand with the motion, if you can.
Okay, so that would be the motion. If there's no additional interest by anybody else, or if you're okay with that, if everybody's okay with that, I would move to approve that recommendation.
Second that.
There's a motion, second. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. So,
We have this
the concurrent.
special meeting.
No, you're right. We have one more item on the concurrent special meeting.
yes, we do. And when I opened up public comment, it was for both, correct? Right. That's what, okay, so then we're gonna go to schedule matters on the concurrent special meeting. Item number 1, which is the 2025 Hall of Champions Award.
Good evening, Council. Greg Alanis, Director of Parks and Recreation. Before you is a recommendation from the Parks and Recreation Commission to consider this year's recipient. Just a little background. On Thursday, May 15th, the Parks and Recreation Commission met for a special meeting to discuss and nominate the 2025 Hall of Champion or Champions recipient. It is recommended by the Commission to select Javier Molina, Olympic boxer, for the 2025 Hall of Champions Award. The Parks and Recreation Commission unanimously voted in favor of recommending Javier Molina by a vote of 4-0 with one commission absent in a particular evening. The commission thoroughly vetted all applicants and unanimously decided that Javier Molina met all criteria. Mr. Molina won the 2006 Cadet World Champions, was a 2007 U.S. National Champion and Olympic Trials Champion, and proudly represented the United States at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing, China. And for that reason, that is why the Commission moved his application forward for your consideration. There were 8 nominees that were submitted, of which they only selected one this year. At this time, I'd entertain any questions that you may have. The report also included in your packet all 8 nominees, what sport they participated, and all the criteria, all the applications were submitted as well for you to take a look at and consider.
Oh, Greg, who is absent?
Commissioner Griego was out that evening.
Did you guys have an opportunity to really look at this and come with a decision, or did you guys need more time? Oh, go ahead.
I have a few questions. Thank you, Greg, for the presentation. Was there a specific reason as to why there was only one inductee? In the past, we've had multiple. One, number 2, were the other nominees not eligible? Can you speak on what drove the process?
So the process was they were all given information. They were all given the applications, but the consensus from the commission was that information was lacking on the majority of nominees. For instance, Mr. Molina's had a packet of information that backed up the claims. So you can read that in there. In addition to that, there was also 2 other applicants that had information regarding their career. Unfortunately, they still weren't chosen at that point. But again, it was really the lack of information that was submitted for commission to take a look at. It was just the backup.
And that was, and that's part of the process. It's stated in the application process that you're supposed to submit all that?
Yes, it says applicants must include supporting documentation to verify achievements.
Got it.
By when do we have to turn or make a decision?
Tonight would be the night. We do need to notify the individual or individuals because they will be presented on about 6 weeks or so on 4th of July for their presentation, as we do yearly or every 5 years for this event.
Do you guys need more time on this? If so, I mean, you do?
I have a question.
Okay, real quick, because if we have a meeting, I think Thursday, we can probably add that to the agenda and have a quick discussion, unless you guys are okay with just one person. And I mean, I know that we've chose multiple in the past. Go ahead, Councilwoman Garcia.
All right, thank you. Greg, I have a question.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it just slipped my mind right now. So the commissioners, when they select the nominees, how much time do they have to look through the paperwork and, compare I guess, just check to see who they'd like to select?
I want to say they were given 3 to 4 weeks to review applications. I want to say closer to 3 weeks, all applications. So they had time to review. We did have a commission meeting that they potentially were going to select. However, it was omitted from the agenda, so we couldn't move forward. Thus, they had an additional week to prepare for the special meeting, which was last week.
And this individual, Javier Molina, turned in his packet, and he has an extensive background in being a junior Olympian. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm okay with choosing Javier Molina. We want to move forward today.
How many did we choose last year?
There were 2. The last time in 2023, when we finally did it, it was 2. There was 2 individuals. We also recognized the girls water polo team as well, but that was a separate program in itself.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys? Do you think we should give one more person an opportunity and look at this and decide Thursday, or are you guys okay with just
I would
one?
like to see a male and a female.
Well, I'm more hung up on the criteria that's being used, and if, we're not providing all of the information or it's not available, then, you're giving the Parks and Recreation Commission, a job to do, and you've outlined eligibility criteria, and if there's some issues with it, then we need to respect that, So, I mean, if we want to go ahead and table it, as you stated, we have a meeting that we can push it off until, Thursday? I believe it's Thursday. If we want to look at that, but if there is some criteria there that is not being met, then
Exactly.
I think we should honor that. I mean, we outline the criteria, and if it's not being met, then we should honor it. But obviously, if it's still within our jurisdiction, if we wanted to change that, we can do it. We can make a decision right now and say, no, we're going to recognize more than one.
I agree with Councilmember Argumedo. We should respect the commissioners that selected this individual. Not necessarily female or male, it should just be the best athlete, and I think they selected that person.
The people that were missing items on their application, did you guys reach out to them and notify them, or you just left it as is?
No, we did not reach out to the individuals that nominated.
I mean, okay. I think moving forward, I think we should probably reach out if there's something missing in an application to kind of help them, right? This is a small community.
So the guidelines you use were developed by city councils in the past, right? So I think we can certainly bring forward those guidelines to you, right? And then you could decide, like, those kinds of issues really are pretty standard, right? I mean, it's on you, the applicant, to submit the information that's going to be reviewed. That said, if you want to change the guidelines, you can certainly do that. So I think certainly the city council can accept a recommendation by the commission. It is a recommendation, so the city council can add one or more of the 8 applicants, 7 other applicants, I'm sorry. But I think it's really your discretion. I think Councilmember Garmelo, suggested, respecting the commission's decision, but also he said exactly what I'm going to tell you, which is you have the discretion ultimately because it is a recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Okay, Councilmember Rebollo?
So yeah, the reason for my comment that I wanted to be male and female, I would hate for anybody to feel like we're singling them out, and that's why, I don't want to say any names. Obviously, we have them before us, right? But I do see some supporting documentation for one of the females. So I'm trying to understand. Is it because it wasn't as extensive as Mr. Molina, which of course I completely agree with the induction of Mr. Molina, who has definitely excelled in the sport of boxing, absolutely deserving of this recognition. But I'm trying to understand why there's one that didn't qualify, where I'm seeing one, right, that doesn't have the supporting documentation. So, that's where we messed up. But I see one that does have it. And I always like, making sure that both genders are represented if there are stellar athletes. And I see 2 very stellar female athletes. So it's not just because they're female, but because they're stellar athletes, and one has the documentation. But I guess maybe that could be a conversation we could have offline, because I want to understand what's missing here. Because I don't know if there's something that I'm not seeing. So that was the reason for my comment. But I absolutely agree that Mr. Javier Molina is definitely deserving of being inducted in the Hall of Champions. That was my comment, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, if you don't mind, could we get an answer to that? Because she does raise a valid point, and I agree with that.
Okay.
Director?
Good question. I think that a lot of these questions they're left for different interpretations amongst the commissioners. Everybody interprets their findings differently. When I was talking to them, again, they were given an opportunity to express themselves. However, it was very minimal discussion. I think that they came in and it was quick. They discussed them amongst themselves. They put on the floor a quick vote. I asked if there were any other individuals they would like to consider, and they, at that point, said they felt comfortable with their recommendation.
You made a comment about our meeting on Thursday. Could we look into this? I mean, we have tomorrow and, before our meeting on Thursday. I'm fine with what's being recommended, but I do believe that Councilmember Rebollo raises a good point here. And we should at least look at it and find out what the actual reason for that individual not being considered. I believe they met the criteria. We know most of the individuals here. I see some of the stuff is incomplete, but also you do see that there is some information there related to the other individuals. So why was she not maybe considered? So that's a very good, valid point, and I'd like to get an answer to that.
Perfect. So let's just table this or continue it to
We'll continue
Thursday.
to the next meeting, and we'll get you whatever information we have available. I guess my only concern, and I'm not familiar with the process, but based on Greg's comments, I don't know how much of their thought process was captured in the commission. But we'll provide all that, and then you can make a decision on if there wasn't adequate kind of vetting, then you can make a decision on what that means for this process. But we'll continue to Thursday.
I believe all we really need is to vet what is being provided and give us the information and let us know, yes, this is, it does meet the criteria, and then we can make a decision here on Thursday.
So let us summarize what got us to this point, and then you can do your vetting too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I also wanted to raise another question or point. I don't remember if it was embedded in the original specs of the way we were going to do this. Was it you that presented that we were only going to do this every 5 years?
No,
don't
I
remember
believe that was prior to my
Is that part of the council ordinance or?
No, I think that was more of just in passing, from what I understand.
It's your
I don't think-
practice that you do it with the city's birthday, basically.
That's part of the ordinance?
No, there's no, it's city practice,
Oh, it's just a city practice.
city council practice.
So if we wanted to, we could do it every year. I just think there's been interest, right? So I don't know why we have to wait 5 years for, you know what I mean, for more people to be inducted.
Given a direction, we can definitely.
I don't know how everybody feels about it, but I don't think we need to wait 5 years. I think this incentivizes, more of our champions to submit applications and to be able to be celebrated. So yeah, I think thank you, Councilmember Argumedo, for the comments. I would like to see. It's very, like he said, it's very simple. Like, did they meet the criteria or didn't they? Because from where I'm seeing, they did, but maybe I'm missing something. That was it. Thank you.
Okay. If there's any questions we can reach out to Greg individually and.
Just to follow up to her comment, and the comments it's just stated, if there's folks out there and there's interest and they meet the criteria, by all means, we have to celebrate 4th of July every year. There's an opportunity for us to recognize those individuals, providing they meet the criteria. Why not? Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Well, understood. And I think when this item comes back, if that's a direction of the city council, that could be part of the action items related to it. Okay?
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we're moving to adjourn this meeting, and we're going to adjourn in the memory of Jose Castillo, a city employee. Meeting is now adjourned.